Hey everyone, it's me, Speed Force Legends, and now the Flash Season 7 has finally ended. So, what are my thoughts on that? For those of you who have not watched my channel for the past few months, my thoughts have drastically changed. It went from being really good to absolutely terrible to okay to now awesome. Although, when I get into that, I'm just going to be talking about graphic novel number 3 right now. This is my review for it. So, careful for spoilers if you're not caught up. So, hit that like button, subscribe, comment below Daddy likes the metal, etc. So, let's first talk about the season 6 storyline. I really liked how they redeemed graphic novel number 2. It's now makes season 6 a lot better than how I remember it being, because for those of you who don't know, I was really frustrated with that season, from the lack of Red Death, constant drama with the fake Iris, who was absolutely annoying, it getting cut short, and then how it all led to Hartley Sawyer getting fired for political tweet that's almost 10 years old, which I thought was just stupid. But anyway, I'm not going to rant about that right now, since these first 3 episodes were really back when it was at its prime this season, even though that doesn't really count because that was part of the season 6 storyline. I definitely liked Eva McCulloch better as a villain. When I do my villains ranking, you'll definitely see her higher on the list. And unlike some of the other villains, like the Thinker, Cicada, and the Speed Force, who I'll be talking about soon, I still got what I wanted from her in the end, although she did have the most dragged out storyline, to be fair, and I liked the whole Mirrorverse aspect, and it finally getting to why she wanted to do what she did, etc. Back in season 6, I didn't think she was necessarily a bad villain. She was okay. She would have been good for an episode long type of thing, a one and done, but not a good main villain. And I understand that the defeat is one of the worst things about the show right now, or at least this season in particular, but that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about later in this video. And it didn't really have the Reverse Flash cliffhanger here like they said they would, but at least we kind of got it at the end of this season, where he at least came back. But whatever. So now let's actually talk about the season 7 storyline. Wow. Easily, by far, the worst season-long story arc we've ever had on the show. And these are the words coming from the same guy who originally said, "Why I'm loving The Flash Season 7, or what a comeback, Season 7 is awesome, etc. I was praising the hell out of this season, because I thought it was a return to form and they finally knew how to improve. And I really liked the forces from the comics, and seeing it on here was so good. But then, turns out I was dead wrong, because back when I made those videos, that was back when this story arc was good, before it started slowly going downhill, and it all started with the first filler episode of the season, episode 7, where back then I just thought it was a mediocre episode, not necessarily bad, but still definitely far from anywhere near as good as the first 6, which I actually really liked. The character Chillblaine, easily, even for a side storyline, it's the worst thing we've ever gotten from this season. They make him the most sexualized character in the Arrowverse, and that's kind of disappointing because before the season came out and there was constant talk about him showing up and possibly being a main villain, and I was pretty excited. He would have been a lot like Captain Cold, as in how good he was, whether he was a main villain or not. And thought he would have been one of the better Flash villains. But I cannot be even more wrong. Like, literally, Frost falls in love with him, he starts taking off his shirt, and then Nellie, Hot in Here, plays in the background. Well, yeah, if you thought that was bad with only one scene, it's gonna get worse, trust me. In the mid-season finale, they really made it so bad. Like, everything bad that people were saying earlier about the family stuff, over-the-top characters, dumb decisions, that all came clear to me there. But I'll get to the whole family thing later. He does the splits in the middle of the fight and goes like, "Oh, it's not afraid to admit that you like me. Oh, can I be your boyfriend? I know you like me." And then she keeps telling him no, then beats him, saying, "Chill out." It reminds me of a Nickelodeon show or something. Literally. I get that they both have ice powers, but why? Why, Eric Wallace? Why? Now that makes me even more afraid to talk about the other problems here. But what really made the main storyline bad was how, in the next episode, episode 8, the trial of Killer Frost, which I originally had low expectations for because I did not like the Trial of the Flash episode. Really was not a huge fan of that. But once this episode came, I really enjoyed it. But then, the Speed Force main villain reveal, which everyone kept talking about. Speed Force revealed as main villain. Speed Force is the big bad. And I actually didn't believe it. I thought it was just the Speed Force being angry at Barry because, well, she has in the past. She could have killed him during Flashpoint or want to get revenge for that Speed Force prison and wouldn't forgive him for other things he's done. Well, that's kind of more on to that later. Then the next episode turns out she was the big bad, which I got past because then when I thought about it, her concept was interesting. Having it be all those things I said, along with Dark Flash, how Crisis killed her. There should have been mention of that in the mid-season finale, but there wasn't. Literally, with all that build-up, she's one of the most personal big bads the Flash has had, and there is no mention of any of that. Instead, we get the other forces joining Barry, and because she wants to kill them, and then Barry decides to erase them from existence, And then all of a sudden, Joe tells him not to, only because since him and Iris... Okay, I'm sorry. Him and Iris created them through the power of love. And that makes them their children. So, they have to call each other dad, brother, sister. And Psych and Flares argue and go like, oh, you two really act like brother and sister. Oh, look, I have a baby sister. And then, watching a group of 50-year-olds calling Barry his father is so ridiculous. Like, if that happened in real life, if a 50-year-old was calling me dad, I would have either beat him up or called the cops. It does not feel right here. Why it gets a pass in graphic novel number 4 and not here is because they were actually parents and children. Here, it doesn't work like that. Okay, well, Barry was created by Thawne, so that makes Thawne his father. So, why would he want to kill his wife? And Eddie is Barry's ancestor? The whole thing doesn't make any sense. Literally. The writers of seasons 4 through 6 were doing weed, but here they were overdosing it. Like, you can tell even explaining all this makes me cringe. I mean, just the other day, I was talking to my friend Sir Plaster, ranting about how bad it's gotten, and this even hurts trying to explain it. In the comics, this was one of the best storylines ever, and I think the main villain should have been Psych. The Speed Force even got defeated when Dion showed her a vision on what would happen if she would win. And then she's sad only because everybody is dead. Which makes her time as a villain seem pointless. And then it's even one of the worst things that has happened to the show. Constant talking the villain down instead of defeating him. That's why villains like Thawne, Zoom, and Savitar, and DeVoe for that matter, worked so well. Even if you didn't like them, they still had satisfying defeats. It's been really going downhill since Cicada. I hate it when they talked him down in the middle of the season, with Cicada 2 ruining it. But anyway, this is about Season 7, not Season 5. Seriously, this is when I couldn't take the show serious anymore. Like, this is a good example of comic book campiness that I absolutely hate. The show hasn't been this cringe since Season 4, I think. And back then, I don't think it was anywhere near as campy as it is now. What a mess. Anyway, and then, once this storyline is over, you have 7 episodes left to do the Godspeed stuff. And once this was confirmed to be 18 episodes long, in the back of my mind, I always thought that this graphic novel structure was not going to work here. Wouldn't matter how good or how bad it is, just would not work. Let alone the fact how the first 3 episodes are to finish the Season 6 storyline. So, you'd think that they'd immediately go to the Godspeed storyline. But no, we get 3 filler episodes that no one cares about. Like, that's why a lot of people did not watch the Allegra episode. In episode 12, a lot of people said it was a good one, only because it was the last Cisco episode, or the humor, which, for season 7, it was not good. Since that breakdance scene was so unnecessary. They have Rainbow Raider 2, which I don't know why they had to bring another one back and then make them all silly. That's like the dumbest superpower ever. And then Cisco tries to distract Barry with that cat game. Like, what were the writers thinking? I couldn't even tell who was writing this. 2-year-olds? Teenagers doing drugs or alcohol? Or porn directors? It's that bad. Well, that was all I had to say about graphic novel number 3. Easily, by far, the worst graphic novel we've ever had on the show. This makes Season 6 look like a masterpiece. But now, let's talk about the good. Season 7, graphic novel number 4. Well, this was easily back to form, despite what some people would say. This is the Flash I remember, not the rubbish we got from earlier in this season. I haven't even felt excited since graphic novel number 1 back in season 6. And I don't think I was even this excited. Because at least it gives me a good hope for season 8, even if I have problems with it. But anyway, well, I mean, obviously, Godspeed was a great villain. He was kind of like Reverse Flash, Zoom, and Savitar put together. Since, with Reverse Flash, they're both evil speedsters from the future who have a personal connection to the Allen family and killed someone they loved and was technically related to them. With Zoom, they're both evil speedsters who take velocity and want to kill other speedsters to become the fastest man alive. And in Savitar, they're both evil speedsters who are kind of from the future, who use white lightning and consider themselves as the gods of speed. And this story arc may have been short, but at least these 4 episodes were worth it, and one of the best we've ever had. It had great set of abilities like Speed Force lightsabers and shurikens, helmet boomerang, which is kind of ridiculous at the same time, but fun otherwise. It's accurate. That Godspeed fight was amazing, and I really liked the whole plot and how absolutely manipulative August Hart really is. And I can understand even if you're one of those people who would say he's better than Bloodwork, because I don't blame you. Speedster villains are the most interesting, but anyway, I'll talk more about that in my villains ranking as well. And it also, what's even better, had Impulse come, and this is the true reason to love Season 7, if you do. Unlike the Forces. And this was utterly really good. I don't know if you'd agree with me or not, but it's just amazing. And I really can't wait for season 8 coming in November. And yeah, so much good from this half of the season. By far the best graphic novel. As far as these Eric Wallace seasons have gone with their story arcs, this is Arrow Season 5, the crazy comeback from the worst story arc, and that was the Speed Force arc. I'm not saying this is better than Season 2, definitely not, but it's pretty close. And I know that there was some humor here, but since it's Impulse, it at least felt right, and it was not cringe. Like, oh, I'm a 50-year-old guy calling you dad. Like, shut the hell up. And, yeah, there's a lot of good here. I just wish we had this longer. And at least the Godspeed stuff was worth the wait. And that leads to the question, if this season was a mess, was this worth the wait? Well, kind of. I mean, the Godspeed stuff, absolutely. First half, definitely not. I mean, I actually don't think this is as bad as people say it is. I mean, because of the first half, it is easily one of the worst seasons we've had on the show. But I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as people say with Arrow Season 4, Legends of Tomorrow Season 6, or especially Batwoman Season 2. Which, I don't know how you can compare this to that. This one never shoved political views down your throat, but that's a different conversation for another time. You all know I hate that show. Anyway. But even when this season was bad, it still had enjoyment, and because of the Godspeed stuff, I just don't know how you can say it's that bad. The structure was awful, yeah, but still good execution with these last 4 episodes otherwise. It's good for a season-long story arc, but for an 18-episode-long season, not so much. Especially how the first 3 episodes were already part of Season 6, and episodes 4 to 11 were obviously going to be the first half of the season. But this should have started like in episode 12, or at least made it longer if you wanted to. I don't know. And let me know what you thought of this. Subscribe and comment below any other video ideas you got for me. Let me know your thoughts on the season, and let me know if you agree or disagree with some things I said. And expect there to be a lot of Flash content to come, because now that this season has ended, I finally have a lot of ideas, because before I've started to run out, which is why I haven't made Flash videos in a while, and this is mainstream. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Bye.